Looking back, I can point to the exact moments I should have paid attention, and I didn't. If you saw me back then, nothing would have stood out to you because I looked completely fine. I was in my 30s, I was working, moving around all day, lifting things at work, doing projects around the house, going to the hardware store, staying active in a normal way, and just living what felt like a regular life. I would come home from work, throw something on the grill like chicken or whatever sounded good, have a soda or something sweet to drink, maybe eat dessert after. I loved sour candy. And I wasn't thinking about any of it beyond just enjoying it, because that's what life felt like at the time. I wasn't paying attention to protein, calories, hydration, or anything like that. I was just eating what I wanted, drinking what I wanted, and moving through life without questioning it because my body was still functioning and nothing felt broken. I didn't think anything of it. My body still felt like it was working, and my life still felt normal. That's what makes this part so easy to miss, because everything still works the way it's supposed to, and you don't have a reason to question anything when nothing is stopping you. At some point, things started to shift, and it didn't happen all at once. It was gradual enough that I stayed in my routine without thinking twice about it. My energy started to drop, not in a way that felt alarming, but enough where I noticed I wasn't moving the same way. And I told myself that it was just part of getting older, because that explanation felt easy and believable. I told myself I was just getting older, that my body was changing, and this was just part of normal life. Then food started to change for me, and this is where it became more noticeable, because I would open the fridge, stand there for a few seconds, and either grab something small or close it without taking anything at all. I would sit down to eat, take a few bites, and lose interest in the food. Not because I was full, but because I just didn't want it anymore. And that was something I had never experienced before. I told myself it was just something small, maybe acid reflux or just my stomach being off. I assumed I could fix it, so I didn't think deeper about it. It's difficult to explain what this actually felt like because nothing about it was extreme, but everything felt slightly different in a way that I couldn't fully describe it at the time. I would walk through my house, do normal things, go through my daily routine, but I didn't feel the same doing them. And that's where a noticeable shift in how my body responded to basic movement. Everything felt slower than it used to, like my body was putting in more effort for things that used to feel automatic. And even though I could still function, I could tell something was off. I couldn't point to a specific cause. I couldn't explain it clearly, but there was a consistent feeling that something wasn't right. And that feeling stayed in the background, no matter what I was doing. Even with that feeling, I kept going. I kept showing up. I kept doing everything the same way because nothing was forcing me to stop, and I didn't have a clear reason to think something serious was happening. I didn't stop my life. I just didn't realize something inside it was changing. And that's how it continued without me questioning it. There was a point where it became harder to ignore, and that was when my energy dropped to a level that didn't feel normal anymore. I felt like I was operating at a fraction of what I used to be, and that's when I started thinking about it more seriously because it didn't match how I'd normally felt. I told myself I needed to fix it, and that I would start eating better, and start watching what I was putting into my body so that I could make it back to the way I used to feel. But instead of improving, everything slowly slowed down even more, and my appetite dropped to the point where I didn't want to eat anything. And even drinking water felt like something I had to force. I could feel myself getting weaker, and that shift happened faster than I expected, which made it harder to ignore. I reached a point where I was spending most of my time in bed because I didn't have the energy to do anything else, and I was trying to get small amounts of nutrients into my body just to keep going. This is where everything changed because I went from living a normal life to being in bed every day with almost no energy, no appetite, and no clear understanding of what was happening to me. I was drinking small amounts of water, trying to get anything into my system, and hoping that something would shift, but nothing was improving. Mentally, I didn't know what direction this was going in, and I didn't know if I was going to come out of it, which made it even harder to deal with because there was no clear answer. I started realizing that whatever was happening wasn't temporary, but I still didn't understand what it actually was. I thought it would pass. I thought I just needed time, but it wasn't changing. I remember going to the hospital that night. I was sitting there all night, the evening into the morning, waiting for answers, and then leaving without really understanding what was happening. After that, I went back home and continued trying to figure out what my body was doing, but the situation didn't improve, and I still didn't have any clarity. At one point, I went from around 300 pounds to 145 pounds in a way that didn't feel normal or healthy, and that was when it became impossible to ignore that something serious was happening. This was the beginning of something larger than I could have ever imagined. Looking back now, all the small things that were happening, the drop in energy, the changes in appetite, and the overall feeling of something being off were all connected. I thought I was fine. I thought it was nothing. I thought I just needed rest. I kept telling myself that, and I stayed there, not knowing what was actually happening to me. I thought I was dealing with something small. I thought it would pass. I thought I could just fix it. I had no idea what was actually going on with my body, and it didn't stop there.